So we're cracking on now. I really like this lake. It's just a really nice, mature, old pit, club water, mega cheap fishing, plenty of fish. Loads of fish in here. The problem is, as with a lot of club waters, they try and make it all things to all people, and as a pleasure fishery it works really well. As a carp fishery it would work really well. As a match venue, waste of time. Honestly, you could spend 20 grand on fish, waste of time as a match venue. It'll always have its days, you know, there'll be days when the fish are feeding and they're not hiding in the lilies from the cormorants and they're not being put under too much stress, that it will fish its head off. Pleasure fishing, it's like all these places we go where the pleasure fishing's great, and as soon as I have a match it's crap. Unfortunately, if you want a match lake, dig it like a match lake. Dig it very, very shallow, boring, you know, uniform, so the fish move around. If that's the sort of fishing you want, that's what you should be doing. You know, I don't like these snake lakes and these donut things with just like a canal, because there's very little water and then they overstock them with fish. Obviously these swims we're going to come and redo because they're collapsing at the front. You've got to play to your strengths. Lake like this, beautiful, it's a lovely lake, it's got loads going for it, and we see this time and time again where it ends up being the club that are their own worst enemy. You know, there's nothing wrong with this lake, it's great. Yeah, it takes work, alright, they've paid us to do some swim building and they put some dye in and stuff. It's full of carp. Alright, these carp are quite old and some of the mouths aren't great, but there's some good fish in here. There's some quality fish in here. Some tench, bream, silvers, lilies, bit of weed, you know. At different times of year, yeah, it gets bad, but it's the match anglers at the moment. You don't hear carp anglers whinging about, you know, oh, should we put more carp in? Very seldom you do anyway, only the ones that really struggle to catch. But it's always when you can't catch £100, that's when your arguments start within the committee. Oh, we should buy F1s, oh, we should buy more silvers, oh, we should do this, oh, we should do that. It's like, well, hang on, the lake's not suitable for that anyway, so you're going to be wasting money. And people say, oh, why are we building swims when we could be buying fish? Why are we doing planting when we could be buying fish? Why are we doing X, Y? It's like, come on, guys. It is like dealing with children a lot of the time, and they're a very silent minority. They're very vocal until it comes to getting things done. Every club in the country is got this nucleus of people who are against any change, any improvement, because it doesn't suit their particular needs on that particular day, and it's very, very frustrating. And it's everywhere. You know, we're lucky, we work all over the country and we see it everywhere. You know, there's a lot of good clubs. Most clubs are decent, you know what I mean? They've got cracking waters like this at their disposal. A lot of them own them, not rent them. But so many of them aren't reaching their potential. And it's not about turning them all into carp waters at all. You know, this works very, very well as a pleasure fishery. But it's when the match fraternity start kicking off and going, oh, we need this because we can't catch, oh, we need this, we want to put in this because and it's all about their agenda to catch more silverfish all the time. It's like, well, there's plenty of silverfish in here, and yes, everyone's dealing with cormorants and otters and warmer summers and warmer winters and algae, low oxygen, which is all part and parcel of running a fishery, really. But you've got to be realistic. And if a club committee is taking advice from, you know, a small band of merry, often not the greatest anglers in the world, just demanding more fish get put in the lakes, yeah, of course you can put more fish in the lakes. You can do that anytime. Everyone's got tons of fish. Everyone's very willing to sell you tons of fish. But is it going to achieve anything? Is it going to give you those extra pounds in the matches? No. Will it in the short term? Very possibly. But it's just not going to achieve what you want it to achieve in the long term, because it just doesn't happen. More often than not, anyway. We've seen time and time again when a club, even when we've netted the lake for them and we've said, look, you've got so many fish, if you put more fish in, you're going to risk risk your stocks, risk your valuable stocks. And they go ahead and do it anyway because they've agreed at a committee. It's always that. It's, we agreed at a committee meeting we were going to do this year. It's like, well, doesn't... Morning hair, lovely. I mean, my hair's always great in the afternoon. So yeah, these things, it is a bugbear of mine, but always at the same time it's why I love the job, because we see changes in a lot of waters where you know, you can try and persuade them, look, this isn't the best way to develop it. If you're just going to continually fill it full of fish, what's it going to achieve? And in the long term, yeah, we get loads of lakes that are really heavily stocked with fish, and they do fine. But you shouldn't be restocking, freshening up your stock every year, because that to me is a sign of poor management. It's a sign that, you know, like I say, with cormorant predation, yes, there's an argument that you might have to restock occasionally with smaller fish, but there's so many other things you can do rather than just keep spending money on fish. And 10 grand on fish doesn't get you very far. You know, 10 grand on remedial work and planting and doing things that are benefiting the long term of your fishery goes a lot longer than a few fish. So it's worth bearing all that in mind. But it's match angling on club waters where it's very, very difficult. You know, a lot of clubs would be better off, the sort of money they spend every year on fish, trying to rent a little tiny pond or even buying a little parcel of land and doing it themselves and digging a small little very uniform little pond and then putting loads of fish in it so that there's no features. And if you want that sort of sterile environment, create it. It's easy enough. We've done it before for clients and it works. And then the fishing's very easy, it's very consistent, and the match anglers are happy. But they're not happy because they'll want to fish on lakes like this, but then they'll want to catch £100 a day. It's like, it's not that sort of lake. And you can just keep continually putting fish in it. It won't be that sort of lake. It's just not. It's a perfectly balanced club water, good pleasure fishing. It could be a great, you know, you could obviously make it a wonderful sort of exclusive venue or whatever, but it's a club water. And it has been and it will be as far as I can see, and it's great, you know. It looks better now than it has done. We're finishing up the swims this week. There's always more work to do. There's always work to do. Anyone who sits back and goes, oh, that's right, it's all done, utter nonsense. But it's nice. And it just bugs me when it seems to be the few ruin it for the many, but that's the same in every walk of life, I suppose, isn't it? But there we are. It's 8 o'clock. I better go to work again. Get back in the digger. Ruin this one as well.